Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and are you planning a Universal Orlando trip and are worried you might miss out on some of the biggest changes going on right now? Well, you are in the right place because I'm about to break down every single update, opening, and change happening at Universal Orlando this fall that will impact your fall trips and of course your trips going into 2026. And we have some major changes to the Universal Express Pass system that could completely transform your park experience, even if you don't even plan on purchasing the Express Pass. So, from the Express Pass changes to the new park hours and a huge change over at Volcano Bay, let's break down all of the major updates at Universal Orlando that you need to know about. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you again so much for checking out this video. And like I said, we're about to break down all of the major changes going on at Universal Orlando that you need to know about. So I'm going to break this video up a couple different ways. I'm going to start first with the actual theme parks themselves, and then we're going to jump into City Walk and just some general updates that we're seeing throughout the parks. But we're going to start with Islands of Adventure, and we are really going to start with one of the biggest changes that is coming to the Universal Express Pass, and that is that Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure now accepts the Universal Express Pass. And so this actually has been going on for a while now. They actually made this change in June, but you're going to see this is really the biggest change at Islands of Adventure. But when it comes to Epic Universe, which of course is the brand new park at Universal Orlando, there's also an Express Pass change, and that is that there are two major rides that have now been added and are accepted with the Universal Express Pass. And those two new rides are Minecart Madness and also Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. So Harry Potter is probably the biggest one that comes to most people's mind, but Minecart Madness actually had one of the highest average wait times at this park since it's opened up. So this is huge, especially when you start to look and compare the Universal Express Pass prices. I really feel like now at least guests who are purchasing these Express Passes can feel at least a little bit, better about their purchase because they are getting really all of the rides that you would want to get. Okay, so now how does this impact every family? Like I said, even if you don't plan to purchase the Universal Express Pass, how does this Express Pass change impact you as you're planning your vacation? Well, for starters, like I said, we started with Islands of Adventure and Epic Universe to kind of break down the changes. Both of these parks are typically the parks that Universal leans towards for early park admission. And the way that I think this is going to impact every family is this is probably going to change how families use early park admission. This is probably going to change how families decide on which rides they might go on, because for the longest time, of course, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure was not included with the Universal Express Pass. So if you were trying to get the most out of your day and you had the Express Pass, well, you're probably going to hit Hagrid's, right? Now that we don't, the families with the passes don't have to do that, with the Express Passes don't have to do that. What that means is maybe we'll see the average wait time for, Hagrid's during early park admission come down. And it's the same concept over at Epic Universe. Maybe we start to see, the average wait time for Minecart Madness come down because some people won't be hitting that during early park admission. And so hopefully it does make the lines more manageable. And here's still how I would tackle the rides first. Over at Islands of Adventure, if I was still going for early park admission, essentially as long as I showed up an hour before the early park admission starts, I would still go onto Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. If you're rolling up to early park admission, right before it starts or a little bit after that hour has started, I would probably just go to Velocicoaster and then hit Forbidden Journey and Flight of the Hippogriff, because you'll most likely get those three rides in as opposed to waiting online for Hagrid's and getting only one ride in with your extra hour. If I was over at Epic Universe, my game plan has still been the same. I still think that everyone's kind of going to Super Nintendo World. Those wait times have been crazy. Hopefully they come back, but until they do, my game plan here would still be to go and use early park admission at Dark Universe, and I would get Monsters Unchained and also The Escape of the Werewolf out of the way, and then I would go back over to Super Nintendo World a little bit later at night when hopefully lines have pulled back. Okay, over to the next change, and we're sticking really with, I would say, with all of the parks at this point, but we do have some extended theme park hours, specifically at Epic Universe, at least through September. So Epic Universe will be closing at 10 p.m. And the reason why I'm even bringing this up is Epic Universe is such a beautiful park at night, but Universal has actually been opening Epic at 10 a.m. So this park has been opening a little bit later. If you have early park admission, it's a great way to get as much done as possible at Epic, because early park admission, of course, is going to be at 9 a.m. So you really do have a head start. But it's odd that Universal actually extended through September, which has historically been a slower time of year at the theme park. So we had a couple nights, in the summer where Universal was closing a little bit earlier at, 8 o'clock at night. So to see 10 o'clock through September, keep an eye on that. I guess my tip and trick here would be to make sure that you're watching the park hours as you're getting closer to your trip to see if maybe Universal keeps Epic open until 10 p.m. on your trip. As of right now, I'm seeing through October, we have the park hours, and I'm seeing Epic Universe closing around 8 p.m. through October. Now, the other important thing that you have to be mindful of and changes are all of the park hours at all of the parks. So a big change that's going on at Universal Studios Florida, not really a change, but something you need to be aware of if you're traveling within the next 2 months, is going to be the nights that we have the Halloween Horror Nights event. Universal Studios Florida will be closing at 5 p.m. So if you're planning your nights, right, you have to keep in mind that Universal closes at 5 p.m. We have Islands of Adventure closing at 8 p.m. most nights, and then when you have Epic Universe closing at either 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. So you have to be mindful of that, and you do need to make sure that you're kind of planning that into your days. And another important thing to keep in mind from from theme park ticket changes is through the rest of 2025, if you have a park to park ticket, unfortunately, you cannot go park to park from Islands of Adventure over to Epic Universe. Let's say Epic Universe is not included in the park to park ticket. However, a big change that is coming in 2026 and beyond is that Epic Universe will be included in that park to park ticket. So you do just have to be mindful. These are the moving parts you kind of keep in your back pocket as you're getting prepared for your trip. Okay, but back over to Universal Studios Florida, and if you are visiting for that Halloween Horror Nights event, there is a brand new stay and scream process. So the new stay and scream system allows guests to line up inside one of the lines instead of in those holding areas that we've had in the past. So starting at 3 p.m. if you are inside Universal Studios Florida for stay and scream, you can pick up your wristband up at Minions Cafe, VillainCon, or Lombard's in the San Francisco over in kind of that area right outside of Fast and the Furious. And then at 4 p.m. you can actually line up of your pickup up to 4 houses. And the other cool thing that I really love here is that we are actually seeing right now 2 of the houses, Five Nights at Freddy's and also Horrors of Wyatt 6, have been starting to let guests in at 5:15 p.m. So the event doesn't officially start until around 6. So you can see you do have a head start if you're going with the stay and scream. Okay, so sticking with Universal Studios Florida for a second, and we do have some entertainment changes as well. So one of the biggest changes that we do see, especially with Horror Nights, is that the nighttime show, which is very popular, Sensational, will not be running during that time. It's actually not going to be running until November 21st. However, on the flip side, the Universal Mega Movie Parade is still happening daily through that time period at 2 p.m. each afternoon. And then another really cool one to keep in mind is that Wicked for Good, there might be some updates coming to the Wicked store in preparation for the new movie, which of course is coming out right around Thanksgiving of November 2025. And another change at studios, there's a lot going on in studios. Another change at studios that breaks my heart is that Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is no more. So this ride is coming down. You can no longer go on Rip Ride Rocket. So if you're planning, you're coming up with your ride list, your park plans, just make sure that you're mindful of that. And now we do have to jump into Volcano Bay, which also has some major breaking news and changes coming to that park. But we are about halfway done with this video, and I just wanted to take a second to say thank you all so much for checking out this video. And if you are finding it helpful to this point, please just be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel, as I have a lot more similar content coming out in the coming weeks to make sure you are as prepared as possible for your next Universal Orlando vacation. Okay, but over to Volcano Bay, and some of the major changes we have coming are going to be the Tapu Tapu system is gone as of October 1st. So Tapu Tapu is being phased out, and all the lines will become standby only for Volcano Bay. And this is another important one that, the moving parts with the Express Pass over at Universal Orlando is Volcano Bay does have its own Express Pass system. And it's going to be interesting to see where the pricing kind of lands and how popular the Express Pass might become now that the Tapu Tapu is gone. But it's not all bad over at Volcano Bay. One of the cool things that we do have coming this fall in particular is going to be Volcano Bay nights are back, select nights in September and October, and we do have a Scooby-Doo meet and greet, or Scooby-Doo characters at least, partaking in this event. So it's going to be around $100 per person. And we personally, over at the Park Project, I'm excited to go check. I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan. My grandfather drove him crazy as a kid watching that cartoon. I couldn't get enough of it. He was over it very quickly, and this is one event that I'm excited for to go check out. So I'll keep you guys posted on how much we liked it. Okay, over to a change that's really impacting all of the parks that we want you to be familiar with, and there are new vending machines that are popping up outside of some of the restrooms within all of the parks. So it looks like these vending machines, you can actually purchase everyday items that you might need in the park, such as some medicine items if you forgot them from home, also deodorant, just different sort of, I would say, toiletry items that I actually think this is a slam dunk. I can't tell you, as an Orlando local, how many times we get to the park and we're like, oh, we forgot this, we forgot that. And I think these vending machines are a welcomed addition that's going to make a lot of families' lives a lot easier. All right, but over to some of the changes going on in Universal City Walk. And this isn't a brand new change, but it is something that we want you to kind of be mindful of. And you can now get butterbeer in the Universal store within City Walk. So you don't have to walk all the way over to one of the Harry Potter lands or have an admission ticket to enjoy a butterbeer. You do now have access within City Walk. And also don't forget that over at the Dead Coconut Club, they do theme this bar depending on the time of year it is. So there are some specialty themes. And one of our favorites, of course, is going to be right now during Halloween Horror Night. So if you are going to City Walk and you want to check out a really, really cool bar, head over to the Dead Coconut Club. It's not going to be called the Dead Coconut Club depending on the time of year you go, but it is going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we can't talk about updates without speaking about the hotels. Don't forget there are now 11 hotels to choose from, with 3 new hotels open near the brand new park, Epic Universe. And what I would say is, if you're planning your trip, what I'm seeing right now is a lot of the deals that are going on are either going to be at Cabana Bay, Endless Summer, or over at the new Terra Luna or Stella Nova Resort at Epic Universe. I feel like a lot of families are still leaning towards the original campus, just from, let's say a convenience standpoint, right? So that's kind of where we're seeing the deals. Universal is trying to incentivize guests to go over and spend some time over at the 3 new hotels near Epic. So what I did for this video is I went and I looked December 7th to December 12th. I wanted to give you an idea where pricing landed for our hotel stay for that period. And so over at Cabana Bay, we were the cheapest at $817. Over at Endless Summer, we were at $950. Over at Terra Luna, we were at $1,151. At Stella Nova, we were at $1,173. Over at Adventura, we were at $1,424. Royal Pacific, $3,475. Hard Rock, $4,361. Portofino Bay, $4,919. Helios Grand Hotel, $4,995. Couple things very quickly. You could see Helios and Portofino Bay right in line with each other. Helios is the most expensive hotel, and that's been pretty consistent. That's the one Epic hotel that they really don't have to try to get you, convince you to go stay at. Folks are just running to stay at that hotel. If you're looking for the hotel that's still the cheapest to get those 2 Park Express Pass tickets, at this point in time, it looks like it's still Royal Pacific, but also the jump from Terra Luna, $1,151 to Aventura, $1,424. Keep that in mind because they're in the same category now. So I think that's an extra almost $300 to stay near the original Universal parks. I don't know if it's worth it or not. So I think that pricing is very interesting. And of course, one last thing to keep in mind when speaking of Universal Orlando, and we do have the holidays coming back to the parks, officially kicking off on November 21st, and that's signaling the start of the entire holiday season. But that is it, everyone. Those are some of the biggest changes coming to Universal Orlando that you need to know about. I really, really hope that you found this video helpful. If there's any changes or any tips, tricks that you've picked up that you want everyone else to know about, just be sure to leave them in the comment section for everyone to see. And like I said, if you are in the process of planning that Universal Orlando trip and it seems like you need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. You can even request a free quote from our team down below in the show notes. And as a thank you for sticking around all the way until the end of this video, I do have a special promo code you can go use to get an extra $50 off your next Universal Orlando vacation, and that promo code is going to be MAGIC. 50. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video, and until next time, I will talk to you soon.